Welcome to this tutorial on how to create your own budget spreadsheet in Google Sheets. If you've ever felt like your money just vanishes and you have no idea where it's going, trust me, you're not alone. I was in the same boat until I put together this super simple budgeting spreadsheet. It completely changed the way I manage finances, giving me a clear, big picture view of where my money actually goes. I've used this spreadsheet to pay off big portions of my student loans, save money for my townhome, and made sure every hard-earned dollar had a job. Now, I'm not just surviving, but I'm thriving. And today, I'm going to walk you through on how to build one for yourself. So let's get started. I originally built this in Microsoft Excel, but I decided to recreate it in Google Sheets so I could sell it on Etsy. Plus, I got tired of paying Microsoft Excel licenses on multiple devices or dealing with sharing restrictions when sending spreadsheets to friends. Google Sheets also has two key functions that Excel lacks: the ability to run SQL queries and a built-in stock tracking feature, both of which are game changers for me. On top of that, I was able to clean up unnecessary rows and columns, making everything more streamlined. The best part? You can access it from Windows, Apple, or other smart devices. Follow along with this video to create your own version and customize it to fit your needs. This spreadsheet helped me break down my income, track my expenses, and finally, take control of my financial future. By the end of this video, you'll have your own budgeting tool to make saving, spending, and planning effortless. So grab your computer, open a Google Sheet, and let's dive in. Quick note, you can follow along using Excel, but some features and formatting may differ. Feel free to customize colors, fonts, and images, but I highly recommend sticking to the formulas, functions, and queries to keep everything running smoothly. Also, as of right now, I'm not sure if Excel can create SQL queries on their online version. Need to slow things down? Pause the video or adjust the speed anytime. I've also added chapter markers so you can jump to the sections that matter most. Finally, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just a tutorial. Create your own budget spreadsheet. I'm splitting this video into two parts. First, how this budgeting spreadsheet works and the problems it solves. Next, a step-by-step guide to building your own. Stick around until the end. I've got some bonus sheet designs to share. If you want your own free version of this template, subscribe and get added to our mailing list. I'll send you a link to free template.
Part 1. How the spreadsheet works. User settings.
Everyone's finances are different, so this tab lets you customize categories to fit your needs. The spreadsheet uses these values to group expenses and generate dropdowns. I've added some sample entries to show what's possible.
Expenses.
The Expenses tab tracks your income and expenses. Think of it as a digital check register for managing your finances. You can manually enter or copy-paste transactions. Some of the key features: in the top right corner, add a nickname for your account and any notes. Cash flow and spending calculates monthly cash flow and yearly average spending. Account balance and pending activity shows your available balance and tracks pending transactions by using checkboxes to mark cleared payments. Scheduled column records transaction dates, with a month-end column automatically grouping activities by month. Dropdowns and categorization pulls account names and expense types from the user settings tab. It also tracks debits and credits and includes a space for notes. This sheet also tracks monthly KPIs grouped by your settings at the top.
The pivot table.
Alright, so I set up a Google's pivot table for anyone who wants to easily slice and dice their expense data. Now, I won't go into too much detail on how the pivot table works. That's a whole other video. But I'll give you a quick example of how useful they can be. Let's say I want to drill down on my Amazon spending over the past year. I just click on this little pencil icon to edit the pivot table in Google Sheets. From there, I add the date field as a row, count as a column, then use debit as the value. Google Sheets will automatically total everything for you month by month, which is super helpful. Finally, if I want to see which credit cards I use to pay for those Amazon purchases, I just check the expense type and bam, there it is. Moving on, we have the Watch Items tab.
Watch items.
If you're like me, you've probably forgotten to pay a bill or wondered if you're on track with your savings goal, the Watch Item tab helps with both. Over to the left, recurring bills. Select an expense to track, and then the sheet pulls the data from the expenses tab, showing the previous amount paid, average cost, and due date. The due date column serves as an automatic reminder, and unpaid bills are highlighted so you can see how much you still owe. The date is calculated by using the current month and the day the bill was last paid, all from the expense tab. Savings goals. Over to the right, choose a savings category from the dropdown, and the sheet calculates total saved. Type the dollar amount in My Money Goal as a reminder of how much you want to save. Column L gives a visual progress update, showing how close you are to your goal.
Annualized Scorecard.
And finally, let's talk about the Annualized Scorecard. This brings all the data together. This sheet gives you a full snapshot of your finances for the year. Just change the year filter on the upper left to see the different years. At the top, the financial ingredients section answers the big question. Where is your money going? It compares spending against a 50-30-20 rule. 50% on essentials, 30% on the savings, 20% on the wants. Feel free to adjust the percentages. This is just a guide or framework to shape your spending habits. A heat map in shades of red visually highlights your biggest expenses, with the darkest red showing where most of the money went. The monthly income versus expenses chart shows your spending patterns month over month, with a dashed green line representing your income. This helps spot trends, like how I had unexpected medical bills in July. For those of you that are interested in zero-based budgeting, you can enter your expenses and income in the expenses tab and see how you did for the year. Tracking your spending habits. Income velocity measures how quickly you spend your earnings. The goal? Pump the brakes and slow down your spending and save more. Expense heat map lets you track specific categories each month. Just pick an expense from the dropdown, and the sheet highlights the most expensive months in red. Want to stop tracking? Just delete the selection. The Wealth Watcher section shows who you're making sure. Ideally, you want a higher percentage in your bank and brokerage accounts, not going to the credit card companies. The monthly account expenses chart compares your income against different accounts and shows your average spending. Here's the big picture: cash flow and accounts. Cash flow is the key to building wealth. More money coming in than going out. The monthly cash flow chart shows how you've performed over the last 13 months. Lastly, the account heat map provides a bird's eye view how much is allocated to different accounts, with room to track spending across 7 accounts. With all these insights, this sheet helps you take full control of your finances. Hey guys, if you made it this far, subscribe and get a free copy of this Google Sheet with a link in the description below.
Part 2. Creating the spreadsheet. Building user settings.
Now that we've seen some of the capabilities, let's create it. Log into your Google account and create a blank spreadsheet. Add sheets named User Settings, System, Expenses, Watch Items, and Annualized Scorecard. Let's start chipping away with the spreadsheet build. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things you could do with Google Sheets is to remove rows and columns to make it easier to read and prevent scrolling.
Step 1. Remove columns R through Z and rows 24 through 1000.
To remove columns R through Z, click on column R, hold the Shift button, and click on column Z to select them all. You can also hold the Shift button, Control, and right arrow button. Then either right-click and choose Delete Columns R through Z, or go to the Edit menu and select Delete Columns R through Z. To remove extra rows, click on row 24, hold Shift, scroll down, and select row 1000. Then right-click and choose Delete Rows 24 through 1000. Quick tip, hold down the Shift button, Control, and the down arrow. If you accidentally delete something by mistake, press Ctrl-Z to undo or manually reinsert the rows.
Step 2. Resizing the columns and adding labels.
Let's resize the columns. Hold Shift, select columns A, C, E, G, I, K, M, N, O, and Q. Then right-click, choose Resize Column, setting the column width to 27. This helps reduce scrolling while viewing the sheet.
Step 3. Adding borders and colors.
Next, let's clean up the layout. Turn off the grid lines, go to View, Show, Grid Lines, and uncheck it. Merge and label sections. Select B1 to P1, merge the cells, and type user categories. Select D2 to J2, merge, and type expense categories. Finally, select L2 to P2, merge, and type accounts. I'm not going to read the cell addresses because it gets monotonous, so please look at the screen. That said, add categories labels for income, needs, loans and housing, wants, savings, bank accounts, brokerages, credit cards. Your sheet should look something like this.
Finishing touches.
Style the headers. Select all headers, change the font color to white, and set the background color to dark gray. That's it. Your sheet is now more structured and easier to navigate. Let's add some borders. Select B3 to B23, click Borders tool and set the border color to gray 2. Apply horizontal borders to add row lines. Outline each category by selecting it, choose gray, and applying an outer border. Repeat for the remaining categories. I want to make sure that the headers stay visible while scrolling, so let's freeze up to row 3. Click on cell B3, go to View, Freeze, up to row 3. Category colors. To add the finishing touch, color code each section for a clean, organized look. Feel free to choose your own colors. Here's what I used. Get creative and make it your own. And that's it for the User Settings tab. Let's move on to the next section.
Building the system sheet.
The system sheet performs most of the behind-the-scenes calculations, queries, and combining user categories. This is where the magic happens. I strongly recommend you pause the video or set the playback speed to slow because this sheet has many functions and queries. Let's add some new columns. By default, Google Sheets only shows columns up to Z, but we need to add 5 more columns up to AE. Here's how. Click on column Z, right-click, and select Insert one column right. Repeat this 5 times until you reach column AE. For now, we'll keep the default 1,000 rows to allow for data growth as needed.
Systems sheet, step 1. Setting up the user settings section.
Column headers. Setting up the user settings section. This is what we're going to accomplish with this tab. First, we need to create a way to combine all the categories from the user settings. Next, we need to create a list for expense types and account dropdowns. Third, we need to create a dropdown for the recurring bills and savings goals dropdowns. In the Annualized Scorecard, we need to generate a list of all the possible years based from entered expenses and create a way to group the expenses into income, needs, wants, savings, bank and brokerage accounts, and finally credit cards. Lastly, we need to create a query that totals all expenses by month so that we can report on those numbers. Let's start by adding some structure to the sheet. One of the problems that I had to solve for is to create a merge list of all the possible categories based on what the user entered in the user settings. When we think of a list, we usually picture items separated by commas, but in this spreadsheet, we're using a pipe symbol instead. You know, that vertical line. Like this. It helps the sheet read and process the list more cleanly. This first section aims to do just that, combine all categories so that we can create dropdowns. In A1, type user settings. Merge A1 and B1 to make it stand out. In A2, type user categories. In B2, type in-list delimiter. Expenses section. In D1, type expenses and merge D1 and E1. In D2, type expense type dropdown, E2 account dropdown, watch items section. Click G1, type watch items and merge G1 and H1. In G2, type recurring bill transactions dropdown. In H2, type savings goal category dropdown. Annualized scorecard section. In J1, type annualized scorecard and merge J1 through N1. In J2, type year dropdown. In K2, type matches the list and merge K2 and L2. In M2, type top 7 filler query. Then merge M2 and N2. Annualized scorecard charts. In P1, type annualized scorecard charts. Then, starting from P2, list the following: income, needs, wants, savings, blank expenses, bank transfers, brokerages, high interest debt, blank account, expenses, cash flow, and exceeded income. Rolling year setup. Now let's create formulas for the rolling year's worth of data. In O15, type the following formula. This gives the last day of the current month if something is selected. If nothing is selected, give me the end of the current month. In O14, type the following formula. This gives the last day of the previous month. Copy O14's formula and paste it into O3 through O13. Select O3 through O13, go to Edit, Paste Special, Formula Only. Now the scorecard charts will always stay up to date. Raw Data section. In AC1, type raw data and merge AC1 through AE1. Below in AC2, list category, end of month, date, amount. In AC3, type the following formula. In English, this just says query the expenses tab and group the amounts by category and month. Here's a quick TLDR version of what this query does. It's actually a bunch of smaller queries grouped together, each one separated by a semicolon. Kind of like a to-do list for the spreadsheet. Let's break it down. The first part tells a sheet to go to the expenses tab and total up everything that falls under the needs list, but only if the selected year is greater than or equal to the year of the expense. The needs list itself pulls from what you've set up in the user settings tab. It then repeats this process for the other categories: wants, savings, bank transfers, all the way through the high interest debt. Finally, the last two queries check for any entries that have been categorized. So anything that doesn't match a drop-down option will get flagged. That way, you don't miss anything when reviewing your budget. Alright guys, let's format the headers. Let's freeze the header for easy scrolling. To keep headers visible while scrolling, click A2, go to View, Freeze, up to row 2. And that's it. Let's move on to the next step. Change column size. Select column C, right-click, and resize the column to 27. Resize columns F, I, and AB to 27. Creating the borders. To make things easier to read, I have borders on a few of the columns. Select A3 through B22, go to Borders, Border Color, change the color to dark gray 4. Now click on the outer borders. This outlines the selected cells. Select A23 through B42, click Ctrl Y. Ctrl Y repeats the previous commands. Select A43 through B62, click Ctrl Y again. Repeat the steps for A63 through B82, through A83 through B102, B84 through B122, A123 through B142, and finally A124 through B162. Let's move on to the other columns. Select D3 through E102 and click Ctrl Y. Select G3 through H82 and click Ctrl Y. Finally, select J3 through N9 and click Ctrl Y. While I have J3 through N9 selected, go to the borders and select vertical borders. Select G3 through H82, click on Ctrl Y, repeat the previous formatting step. Do the same for D3 through E102 and A3 through B162.
System Sheet. Step 2. Formatting category section and adding formulas.
Let's format the headers. Let's add some color to help visually organize the categories. Select A3 through B122, change the fill color to match the income color. Select A23 through B42 and change the fill color to match the needs color. Keep going for the rest of the categories, changing the fill color to match each one. You'll notice each category has 20 rows and the last one will end at B162. This will make it much easier to spot each section. Creating the system formulas. Let's set up the formulas that will update automatically as the data is entered or changed. Follow these steps. Start with cell A3, type equal, and use your mouse to navigate to the user settings. Highlight B4 in the user settings tab. Then press enter. In cell B3, type the following formula. This will combine the value of A3 with a separator. Copy the cells A3 and B3 by selecting both, right-clicking, and choose copy. Select A4 through B22. From the menu, go to edit, paste special, formula only. Move to cell A23. Type the equal sign and use your mouse to go to the user settings tab. Highlight D4, then press enter. In cell B23, type equal and the following formula. Copy cells A23 and B23. Paste the formula by selecting A24 through B42. From the menu, go to edit, paste special, formula only. Repeat these steps for all the categories in the user settings tab. That's it. Your formulas are now set to update automatically as you add or change data.
System sheet. Step 3. Expenses, watch items, and annualized formulas.
Let's set up the drop-down lists using formulas. In cell D3, type equal and the following formula. This creates a list for the expense type drop-down. In cell E3, type equal and type the following formula. This creates a list for the account dropdown. Now your dropdowns will automatically update based on the data you have in columns A. Watch items. Here's how to set up the next set of formulas for your sheets. In cell G3, type equal and the following formula. This creates a list of the recurring bill transactions dropdown. In cell H3, type equal and the following formula. This creates a list for the savings goal category dropdown. In cell J3, type equal and the following formula. This will list the unique years from the expenses tab. Create your lists. Starting in cell K3, type the following labels going down the columns. Starting from L3 to L9, type in the following formulas. This helps Google Sheets create lists. Let's add some placeholders. Type dashes in M3 through M9 and zeros in N3 to N9. This step sets up some default placeholders. Your spreadsheet should look something like this. In P3, enter this formula. Then copy paste in cells P3 through X15. This pulls amounts from the raw data query results by each month and by category. Let's create the expenses, cash flow, and exceeded income formulas. Starting from Y3, type this formula. In Z3, type this formula and copy paste special formula in cells Z3 through Z15. This calculates the difference between your income and expenses, or in other words, your cash flow. Finally, in cell AA3, type this formula and copy paste it special in cells AA3 through AA15. This determines if you spent more than your income month over month and will be used in the charts. That's it. Now we've set up a solid backbone for the monthly financial tracking.
Building the expense sheet. Expense sheet. Setting up the sheet.
Expenses tab. Removing columns. Select columns K through Z, right-click, and delete columns K through Z. Let's add some rows. Scroll to the bottom of the sheet and add 5,000 rows. You can add more rows later if you need to. Column headers. Formatting and setting up the expenses sheet. Let's make this spreadsheet clear, organized, and easy to read by adjusting column sizes, adding headers, applying formatting, and inserting key formulas. Follow along step by step. Adjust column widths. Resize the columns for better readability. Select column A, select column J, resize to 27. For column B, resize to 66. Select columns C, D, G, and H, and resize to 100. Columns E and F, resize to 200. Finally, column I, resize to 341. Now let's name our columns. Starting from column B, type cleared, scheduled, month end, account, expense type, debit, credit, and description. Bold all headers by selecting them and pressing Ctrl B. Freeze the column headers. Let's keep the headers visible while scrolling. Select cell A8, go to View, Freeze, up to row 8. Next, let's add filters. Select B8 through I8, go to Data, Edit Filter. Use this filter to sort and filter your data easily. Apply conditional formatting. From the menu, Format Conditional Formatting, and then click Add Another Rule. Apply to range G9 through H6000. Let's format the rule. Select is equal to and type 0. Change the font color to light gray. This makes all zeros appear gray for better readability.
Expense sheet. Formatting the cells and creating KPIs.
Next, let's insert checkboxes and data validation. Select B9 all the way to the bottom and insert checkbox. Select C9 all the way down to D at the bottom and select data validation criteria is validate. Now let's apply some drop-down rules. Starting from expenses E9 all the way to the bottom, drop-down, select drop-down from range, make it equal to this formula. Select F9 all the way down to the bottom. Hit Insert, drop down from range, and enter this formula. Now, let's turn off the grid lines. Go to View, Show Grid Lines. Speaking of dates, we need to create a month-end formula. Type this into D9 and copy and paste it all the way to the bottom. Next up, let's set up the KPI formulas. Set up cash flow section. Merge C1 and D1 and type cash flow. Merge C2 and D2 and type in this formula. Merge C3 and D3 and type monthly income. Merge C4 and D4 and type the following formula. Merge C5 and D5 and type average spend for year. Merge C6 and D6 and type in this formula. Expense tracking section. Merge E1 through H1 and type account expenses. Change the font color to light green. In cell I1, type account nickname. Merge cells I5 through I6 and type any account notes you want there. In E3, type monthly needs. E4, type the following formula. In E5, type account balance. And E6, type the following formula. In F3, type monthly savings, and F4, type the following formula. In F5, type pending activity, and F6, type the following formula. Merge G3 and H3 and type monthly wants. Merge G4 and H4 and type the following formula. merge G5 and H5 and type today is. Finally, merge G6 and H6 and type equal today, open parentheses, end parentheses. I went ahead and formatted my expense sheet to look like this.
Building the pivot sheet.
Creating pivots. Pivot tables are great for summarizing and analyzing your data. To create one, just highlight the range from C8 all the way down to J6000. Once that's selected, go to the top menu, click Insert, Pivot Table, then choose New Sheet when prompted. I went ahead and renamed the new sheets to Pivot, just to keep things organized. All right, let's keep going.
Building watch items. Watch items. Setting things up.
Let's start by cleaning out the extra stuff and getting the layout just right. Delete unused columns and rows. Highlight columns O through Z, right-click and choose Delete columns O through Z. Now click on row 25, then press Shift, Control, and the down arrow to select all the way to the row 1000. Right-click on the selection and choose Delete rows 25 through 1000. Next, let's resize columns for a cleaner layout. Hold Control, click columns A, H, and N. Right-click and set the column width to 27. Right-click column B, resize it to 196. Select columns C, D, E, and F, and resize to 60. Right-click column G, set it to 214. Right-click column I and resize to 196. Finally, column M gets resized to 43. Next up, let's add labels. Let's name some sections so everything's easy to understand. Merge B1 through G1 and type recurring bills. Merge D2 and F2 and type month. In B3 through G3, type these labels: category, date due, current, previous, average, system message. In I3 through M3, type category, my dollar goal, total saved, status, percent. Merge I1 through M1 and type savings goals. Creating drop-down lists. Let's make it easier to select categories later. Select B4 through B23, go to Insert, drop-down, and use this formula. Select I4 through I23, go to Insert, drop-down, and use this formula. Recurring bill formulas. Here's where we plug in logic. In C4, enter this formula. This formula builds a due date based on past payment and current month. In D4, enter. This grabs amount paid this month. In E4, enter. This pulls amount paid last month. In E4, enter. This calculates the average monthly payment. In G4, enter. This displays messages like bill is overdue, bill paid, all based on the due date. Once those are in, copy C4 through G4, then paste special down through G23. Highlight unpaid bills. Let's color code overdue bills. Select C4 through G23, go to Format, Conditional Formatting, add a new rule, apply to range C4 through G24, format if custom formula is, and then use this formula. In English, this says if bill isn't paid, set it to true, meaning set it to yellow. Finally, set the background color to yellow. totaling unpaid bills. In B24, type total unpaid bills. In D24, enter this formula. Copy that and paste it into E24 and F24. Paste special formulas. Savings goals formulas. Let's make tracking savings easy and visual. In K4, enter. This totals up your savings contributions for the selected category. In L4, enter the sparkline chart formula. In M4, enter the percentage complete formula. Now copy J4 through M4, then paste special formulas down through K5 and M23. Savings totals. Select I-24, type total savings. In J24, enter this formula. Copy that into K24. In L24, enter sparkline for overall savings formula. In M24, enter this formula. Finally, I've removed grid lines, view, show grid lines, froze the top 3 rows, select B3, view freeze up to row 3. Colored the headers and footers and added borders to clean up the look. That's it. You built a fully functioning section to track your recurring bills and savings goals with visuals and smart logic baked in. Let's move on to the final tab.
Building the Annualized Scorecard. Annualized Scorecard. Cleaning up the sheet.
Let's build your dashboard. We're going to turn your spreadsheet into a powerful, visually appealing financial dashboard. I'll walk you through it step by step. Don't worry, it's easier than it looks. Let's clean things up first. Remove unused columns and rows. Select columns X through Z, right-click, and choose Delete Columns X through Z. Select rows 120 through 1000, right-click, and delete those two. Just as a reminder, you can hold down the Control, Shift, and the down arrow to select all those rows. Resize your layout. Select columns A and B, right-click, resize columns to 27. Resize column C to 132. Hold Control, click in columns E, F, I through W, then resize to 66. Let's resize columns G and H to 33. Let's add your dashboard header. Let's set up a clean, informative header. Merge C2 through D2. Type scorecard year filter. Merge E2 through F2. Insert dropdown and use this range. Merge J2 through Q3. Type this formula. Merge S2 and T2. Type today is. Merge U2 through V2 and type this formula. Let's add the KPI labels and formulas. Let's build out your top level KPIs. These will be quick glance stats on your dashboard. In C4, type income. In C5, enter your income formula, like this. Merge E4 through F4, then type needs. Merge E5 through F5 and type your needs formula, like this. Merge I4 through J4, then type wants. Merge I5 through J5 and enter your formula for wants. Merge L4 through M4, type savings. Merge the cells right underneath and enter your savings formula. Merge O4 through P4 and type bank transfers. Merge O5 through P5 and enter your formula for transfers between bank accounts. Like this. Merge R4 through S4 and type brokerages. Merge I5 through S5 and enter your formula for brokerage activity. Merge U4 through V4 and type credit cards. Merge U5 through V5 and enter your formula for credit card activity. Like this. Click on cell A6, then go to View, Freeze, up to row 6 to keep your KPIs visible as you scroll. I formatted my headers to look like this.
Annualized Scorecard. Financial Ingredients.
Financial Ingredients section. I wanted this to feel like the nutrition label on a cereal box. Clear and bite-sized. Let's set the labels. Merge B8 through F8. Type your formula here. Merge B9 through C9. Type nutrition facts. Merge D9 through E9 and type actual. Then over in F9, type recommended. Categories. Merge B10 through C10, type needs. Merge B17 through C17, type wants. Merge B25 through C25, type savings. In D10, D17, D25, type spent. In E10, E17, and E25, type percent. In F10, F17, F25, type 50%, 30%, and 20% respectively. Now let's insert the formulas. Type the following formulas in C11, C15, C18, C23, and C26. Sorry for the error. I had to go back and fix up one of the formulas. Type total into C16, C24, and C29. Budget targets. Enter these formulas into D16, D24, and D29. Use E16, E24, E29 for the target dollar amounts. Here are the formulas. In F16, insert the percent complete formula. Do the same for F24 and F30. Finally, copy your formula from E11 into all corresponding percent rows to calculate the percent of the budget used. Let's add a heat map. Select D16 through F16, D24 through F24, and D29 through F29, like this. Then go to Format, Conditional Formatting, Color Scale, and choose your colors.
Annualized Scorecard. Income versus expenses chart.
Income versus expenses chart. Insert a chart and format it using a monthly income versus expense data. Set your values to these settings. Notice that I'm removing unused series and only keeping income, needs, wants, and savings. In a Customize tab, rename the chart and change the colors. I used green for income and gave it a dashed line, but feel free to make changes. If you didn't catch it before, I had a typo. In C5, make sure that your formula looks like this. Notice I'm moving the monthly income and versus expenses chart and resizing it. And finally, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and format the financial ingredients report to look like this.
Annualized Scorecard. Zero-based budget.
We're showing every dollar has a job. Merge F38 through I38 and type zero-based budget. Below that, merge the cells and label the following: income, needs, wants, savings, blank expense, and finally, monthly totals. In J38, enter this end of month formula. In L38, type this formula and copy paste it special formula only from L38 through V38. In W38, type year totals. Now let's fill in the data. In J39, type this formula. Then copy and select J39 through V43, paste special formulas only. In J44, type this formula. This basically calculates the difference between income and expense. Copy paste that formula from K44 all the way through V44. In W39, type this formula, copy paste special formulas only through W43. To create the heat map, select J39 through J43, format, conditional formatting. For the color scale, I use a red-white gradient, but feel free to make changes. My OCD is kicking in, so I'm going to go ahead and format this report.
Annualized Scorecard, velocity of income.
This KPI tells you how quickly you're burning through your income. Merge Q50 through U50 and type this formula. This dynamically changes the title with a year filter. Merge Q52 through R52 and type annual spend. In Q53, input the spend query like this. I just realized I didn't take into account any blank expenses for the year. I'm gonna go ahead and put dummy expenses just so I can get through this. Merge T52 through U52 and type annual income. In T53, input the income query. In S51, calculate your velocity using this formula. I went ahead and formatted velocity of income as well as added some fictitious amounts just to see the numbers update. Now let's create a gauge chart to use this information. Go to Insert, Chart, Change to Gauge. Use R51 as label and S51 as the value. To add the custom colors, for green, I use min-max of 0 and max of 0.33. Orange, min of 0.34 to 0.66. And finally, red with a min of 0.67 and a max of 1. This basically splits up the chart into 3 parts.
Annualized Scorecard, expense heat map.
Merge F64 through I64 and type expense type. Merge the rows underneath it and type in income, and in F73 through I73 type monthly totals. The rows in between will be used for dropdowns later. Let's set up the dates. In J64, type this formula, which gets the end of January for the selected year. K64, type this formula, which gets the previous month, and then copy, paste special, formula only through V64, like this. In J65, input income total formula like this, and then copy paste special formula only from K65 to V65. Now let's create the dropdowns. If you haven't already, merge and select F66 through I72. Once you've done that, insert dropdowns for categories by selecting those cells. Make sure the settings look like this. In J66 through V72, input formulas to total expenses, like this. Remember, after you type the formula in J66, you can copy, paste special formulas only through V72. In J73, type this formula to calculate monthly totals, and then copy, paste special formulas only through V73. Type this formula to calculate your yearly income total in W65. Then copy paste it from W65 all the way down to W72. Final touch for this is to add the conditional formatting by selecting Format, Conditional Formatting, and then use the color scale. This is what I formatted my report to look like.
Annualized Scorecard, Wealth Watcher.
This one summarizes transfers and spending by account. Merge B78 through E78 and use this dynamic formula for your header. Merge B79 through C79 and type nutrition facts. Next, merge D79 through E79 and type actual. Let's add the section labels. In B80, type bank accounts. B87, type brokerage accounts. B92, type credit cards. Now, type in the other headers. In D80, type transferred. 87 and D92, type spent. In C86, C91, and C99, type total. Then use these queries in C81, C85, C88, C90, C93, and C98 to pull in the data. Add these formulas in D86, D91, and D99. Type this formula in E81, copy, paste special formulas only from E81 through E99 to calculate the percentages. Hey, future me here. I totally forgot to mention that we need to create a named range. To do that, click on cell C5, data, named ranges, and type in year to date income and hit done. This is needed for some of the formulas. Finally, we want to apply conditional formatting to D86 through E86, D91 through E91, D99 through E99. Go to Format, Conditional Formatting, Add Color Rules. I went ahead and formatted my Wealth Watcher report to look like this.
Annualized Scorecard, Monthly Account Expenses Chart.
Go to Insert, then Chart. Select Smooth Line Chart and change the values to these settings. Next, click on Customize. Change the chart title. And change the line colors for each series. You can move and resize your chart like this by clicking on the corner and just expanding or shrinking the chart. In Q90, type the following formula to get the average spend for the year.
Annualized Scorecard, Monthly Cash Flow Chart.
Let's visualize how money flows in and out each month. This helps spot trends and keep tabs on your monthly habits. Click anywhere in the blank area of your sheet, then go to Insert, Chart. In the chart editor, change the chart type to Stepped Area Chart. Change the values to these settings. Switch to the Customize tab, and then you can color code Cash In and Cash Out. Update the chart title to something like this. Feel free to drag the chart wherever it fits best for your dashboard and resize it as needed. Underneath the chart, in cell H105, type this formula. And that's it.
Annualized Scorecard, Account Heatmap.
Merge F109 through I109 and type account. Merge the rows F110 through I117 like this for the category dropdowns. And for the last row in F117, type monthly totals. Let's set the date and formulas. In J109, type this formula to get the end of January. In K109, type this formula to get the previous month. Next, copy K109, select K109 through V109, edit, paste special, formulas only. In J110, type this formula, then copy, select J110 through V116 and paste special formulas only. Let's go ahead and create the dropdowns. Select F110 through F116, go to Insert, Dropdowns, and use this setting. Finally, we're going to add the formula to total the accounts each month. In J117, type this formula, copy it, paste special, formulas only from J117 through V117. To add the heat map, select J10 through V116, format, conditional formatting, color scale. As a finishing touch, I formatted my report to look like this. And that's it. We're done with the budget tracker sheet.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps my channel a lot. Click the link below to get a free copy of this template.